I can calculate percent change. And I also tried my best to reverse engineer what sort of formula was used to make assessments,
Right.
which I'm unable to do. So if I could ask you a question first is how was this methodology applied? May I ask?
Sure. And the answer is we can get you the methodology workbook that the assessor used,
Okay,
because it's not as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's 1, 2, 3 times 500% minus
see.
200%
Uh-huh.
to the 11th degree, and it's a big algorithm.
okay.
So before you leave, Crystal, do you have Barbara's email information? You can, okay,
That would be great.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so not having that, it's kind of, I'm trying to look at these things from a comparative perspective.
Sure.
And I don't know exactly. So the one thing I want, so the first page is really just looking at some comparatives in the nearby area where I live. And I don't know, all of you are, some of you are realtors, I think, so you probably know where Toll's Point is. Where I live is White House Creek, which is not Carter Creek or Dimer or Dividing or many of the others. And houses out there are on the market for a good long time, as you know, and they don't sell for $1 million. So it's a fairly stable area, I would say. So I tried to look at, our property is up top with this land assessment of 150% increase, which seems staggering, especially when you begin to look at the percentage change of other homes that are very nearby, only one in the double digits, where I'm at triple digits by a significant amount. I don't, through the grapevine, I've heard that improvement value is kind of a bad misnomer because it's really not what you've done to improve your house, but what the market assessment is. I get that, but again, pretty big increases across the board. But this land really seems like a pretty significant outlier to me. I did also, on the next page, just do waterfront land sales without a home. We have only 0.8 of an acre, and the nearest one that sold most recently was at Zero Hazard Lane, 3.85. Their percent change is 7.3% in their land. So again, kind of jarring, raised an eyebrow. And so I won't go through the list. You've got them in front of them, but you can see they're all single or double digit and certainly not near 150% increase. And really the last thing I want to share with you are two photographs, because the other thing about where we live, and I admit I was naive to, I know what a floodplain was, but didn't realize that 4 or 5 times a year I'd have water all the way up to my doorstep. So this land, even if you bulldoze the house, is not going to sell for $300,000 because of these kinds of issues. And I'll give David credit. I asked him at the time we purchased, why has this house been on the market for so long? And he said, well, it is a floodplain, and you're out in a fairly rural area, which is part of the reason we moved there. But I didn't really expect this kind of water.
Right.
In fact, the first one happened, I would say, 2 weeks after we moved in. So it hasn't come in the house. You know, we're lucky in that way, but you can see that it's going to be problematic for the next purchaser, because I'll feel like I have to disclose accurately what the house is about. So that's really my whole presentation. The supporting documents just back up the numbers I presented to you if you wanted to check them, make sure they're accurate. But I was pretty careful to transpose them correctly.
No, you've given us a great deal of information. It's been be very helpful. We have learned through most of these hearings that most of the grievances are not so much about the improvement increases, but the land increases. So what you provided is what we normally do with every case. We go back and look at similar lots in and around the creek, across the creek, similar elevation, and see where the values are and the increases or where the disparities might be, and then make adjustments if needed after that.
So I would just say on the improvements piece of it, I don't think Tolles Point is going to increase in value as rapidly as many of the other creeks that people reside on here. So I would ask you to take that into consideration as well, because even a 37% increase in the market value of my house, when I look at what things have sold for, seems high. So my request is that you look at my appeal, reconsider my assessments, and inform me with a really great positive response.
Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, just, it does seem like White House Creek in particular, we've had several people come in, and there's something with the assessor. I know he sort of explained it to us, and I don't know exactly what it says about it in that handbook. But he had some sort of algorithm that kind of went through a map and and like these little points of land on Tolles Creek. A lot of them didn't go up, but the little points out at the end of the road all seem, we've had several, just looking at the map, I think you can see 1, 2, 3 people that have already been in here. So
Yeah.
we just gotta
Well,
take a
they're
look at it.
probably also coming in because along with the flooding that we have, I'm the last house that has an accessible driveway. So I've entertained many of my fellow residents for bathroom breaks, glass of wine,
In case the
parking
road's
in the
flooded after your house?
Pardon me?
In case the road's flooded after your house?
Right
then
after.
they'll
The
stop-
road.
Stop by.
It comes all in the front, but, so I've gotten to know my neighbors pretty well. But I'm pretty sure that it's frustrating for them, you know, you have to wonder how long that road's gonna even hold out. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't hardly go through there with a high truck with big tires, and it's gonna be a problem
Right.
sometime down the line. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Very good.
Thank you for all the information. It's very helpful.
Barbara, thank you for everything.
Yeah, you bet.
And what we do is at the end of each day after all the hearings, we go through and deliberate case by case.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll notify you by mail within 2 to 3 weeks' time from the county.
Okay. Well, I look forward to that.
All right, thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Okay, you
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.
Oh, my God, that'd be helpful. Have a good one.
Thank you.
See you, Barbara. Good to see you too. All right. Three. Hi, Gwen. Hi, Rich. How you doing?
All right, how you doing?
Good, good. If y'all want to come on up to the podium, we'll go ahead and,
I'd rather sit here and you come to me.
I wouldn't mind doing that, but we're locked in up here behind this desk.
I know.
How are y'all?
Hanging in here.
Good, good.
I hope y'all ready for me, because
we're ready.
I'm going to try to be nice.
We're ready. We're
All
ready.
right, can I approach y'all?
Absolutely.
All right, David, this was sent in to the county back in December.
Okay.
All the information, I wish I made more copies now for you all.
That's all right. We can share.
I never got a response back from the county.
Okay.
I'd like to know one reason why. Somebody ain't doing the job, are they? No.
Let's see here. All right.
A lot of information that was done by my son.
So you filed for the appeal,
Right.
signed the waiver.
It's a whole bunch of different properties.
Different parcels, yeah.
Yeah,
And from this, you got no response?
nothing at all. And if you notice it, his, email was done back in December.
Okay. That part, let's see, here's the email right here, December
Yeah, everyone
13th.
has an email to it. Except what, when you gotta come up here and talk.
All right. I don't know why you didn't get a response. All I can tell you is it's a good thing you're here because the appeal process, if you weren't happy with talking to the assessor and you didn't like that, then you come talk to us and we're kind of the final step. And if you don't like what this board says, you've got one more avenue is going to the circuit court judge.
Right.
So
David,
you're in the right spot.
David, I tried to talk to the assessor, he was gonna help us out. I talked to him 5 times on the phone, well, I'm gonna get, you're right, I got to redo it. Never heard a word from him, nothing.
And you're not the first taxpayer
I know
who said
I
that.
know. You can talk to Craig Geezy about it.
Yeah,
I will solve the problem for you.
yeah,
Didn't heard nothing from Craig Geezy either.
okay.
What? What did you say, Gwen? We are, Gwen.
We're doing it, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
All right, well, let's see, the parcels we want to talk about, is it just 4, 1B and lot 43, or is it all
of it.
these?
All of it.
Okay. All right,
That's 4 acres.
well, let's start with lot 1B.
All right, Gwen, what's lot 1B? You need to come up here.
3066 Whitechapel?
Oh, that's my house.
Okay. Okay.
The address that you all gave me was 3066 and 3051.
Right.
So that was the only two that I got the information for, because that was all I was told. Yeah, I'll need those tax map numbers as well.
All right, well, let me see if I can pull it up here, let's just go through them. All right,
I'm good. How you?
I'm making it.
Yeah. It come.
All right.
Put it in second gear.
Put it in second gear.
Yeah, you in high gear now.
here we go.
She doesn't tie it, she wants me to come down something, right?
She said you staying there. You gonna get a whipping when you get home.
All right.
Oh, I'm gonna get when I get home.
So this y'all's house,
All right.
let's talk about that one first.
Which one is that?
3066.
Okay, Whitechapel.
Do we have 1B? Okay, we've got the tax card for that one.
Yes.
All right. So,
I
what,
have to keep signing statuses, I'm sorry.
no problem.
You can use that mic. If
Huh? One back there?
Well, that way we can all hear you on the microphone.
Oh, y'all can't hear me, right? Yeah, I got a big mouth as it is.
All right, so from y'all's house, let's talk about that first. What is the
Agreements on it?
agreements on that one?
All right, my garage. If you'd have walked inside of the garage,
Uh-huh,
you'd see it's rotten.
okay,
I got to take the roof all off. I got to redo the, excuse me. I got to redo the whole structure of the garage.
okay,
I got termite damage up underneath my house. With my conditions right now, David, I have cancer, and I'm fighting a whole bunch of other stuff. I can't do it right now.
gotcha,
I can't do it, I'm sorry.
gotcha. So on the garage, it's a 19 and a half by 24-foot garage. So that one's eaten up, rotten.
She's rotted from the weather, yes.
Okay,
It started leaking on me years ago, and I just, with my health, I ain't been able to do nothing to it.
gotcha. All right. Anything else with the house?
The house has termite damage.
House is termite damage. Okay. And I do see there is a note on here, wood rot, termites,
Right?
which the assessor did make a 5% adjustment for that. So that's something that we can
Yeah,
take.
5% ain't nothing.
Right, right.
It is nothing, 5%. Not the way wood prices and all gone up in this world right now.
Sure.
So did you have it treated?
Yes, ma'am. It was treated, this damage was before I bought the house.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Oh, boy.
And Gwen, you need this mic because you can't talk.
Anything else with this house? Or is it just mostly the garage and the rot and the termites are the main?
Well, I still need to put a soft kit on the house.
A soffit?
Yes.
Okay.
And it takes money. And when you're on disability, you don't get much.
3 bedrooms, 2 baths?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Built in 1942
Yes, sir.
and 2,200 square foot roughly?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Do
All right.
you, between, the last assessment was done in 2019, between this assessment, do you think the house pretty much looks the same?
It's never changed.
From the
Nothing.
outside?
Absolutely nothing has ever changed. Nothing. And to jump it, I don't know how much percentage y'all jumped that house.
Need some paint.
Go ahead. Yeah, you get up on the ladder paint. For it to jump that high, I can't see where I even see it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I did home improvements on it and that, yes, but
Sure.
I never have.
Gotcha. Does anybody else on the board have any questions on that parcel?
No, sir.
All right. All right, let's see, that was 4-1B. Now, let's go to, let's go. Iberis Road,
There is.
22, 2252.
That has the email and it has everything that we put.
Gotcha. Okay. Now,
Who's got tax map on there?
21-80, B as in boy.
Oh, we don't have that, okay.
All right, let's talk about that one now. It's in the email, okay. Appeal. Land went up 10,000 more than prior year. House value increased by 75%, no improvements. All right, so that one, we're gonna look at the land value and the home value.
Yes, sir.
Okay, on just the increase on both of those. All right, let's see. Let's go to 3051 Whitechapel Road. We do have
Oh, yeah.
the tax card for that.
I know what it is.
Yeah, we have this one. I think we have. Yeah, we have this one.
That is lot, okay, that's lot 43 right there. All right, let's talk about 3051.
Oh, yeah, I like to talk about that. Oh, I do. David, how can you charge somebody for something you don't own? That's what I want to know. That's what I asked appraiser, I asked Craig Keezy. You notice on the top, there's 3 sheds on that property.
All right, let's see, we've got a home built in 1940,
Right.
2 bedrooms, 1 bath,
Yes.
and then what we've got here is a building with no value, a shed frame, a 10 by 20, valued at $2,700, and a 8 by 8 valued at $720.
Those two sheds. I don't own them.
There,
Grand, I don't own those sheds. The renter, well,
Are they on your property?
yes,
they need to
but
be,
they're gonna be moved. I told the adjuster that. I just had a tenant move out with who owns the sheds. And those sheds are gonna go with that tenant, not me. I don't own these sheds.
Okay, so that's a rental.
Well, and we didn't ever make any money off the rental because they ever charged her nothing, because it was my daughter.
But
Gotcha.
It was
Those
my
are
daughter.
her sheds.
Those are her sheds, not my sheds.
They'll be.
How long have they been on the property?
She bought one. She bought one, and then she bought another one.
Yeah, because you got too much junk. But, they're not gonna be on my property.
5 years.
Okay.
Maybe 5 years.
But she's had them on there. They're not, they're just.
They're movable sheds.
Right,
Someone's a kid.
yeah, yeah.
But I don't own
Right.
them. So how could I be taxed for something I don't own?
But they didn't know that, I guess, at the time.
And well, I tried to talk to the adjuster about it too, and it was, like I said, it was, like you said, you get a whole bunch of complaints about him.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm bringing it to you all.
So you gonna move them?
No, she's gonna move them. She makes more money than I do. No, she's RN.
No, she has.
We'll find out from Commissioner of Revenue on that, whether we can make an adjustment on that, or it may be that once the sheds are removed from the property,
Then it'll change.
you all might have to take a picture and then bring that to the Commissioner of Revenue saying the sheds are no longer there, then they can probably remove them from the tax card. I think as long as it's on your property,
But how do you tax somebody who don't own something?
well,
That's the question.
that's the question we have to ask Commissioner of Revenue.
Right, how
Yeah.
can they tax,
Yeah, because they're in her name.
yeah, they're in her name, they're not in my name.
Right,
And I can prove it's in her name and not my name,
right,
because she got a bill of sale on her.
gotcha. Well, yeah, we'll find out from Commissioner of Revenue and let
So
you
am
know
I
that.
gonna get a hearing, am I gonna get a letter from y'all or what?
Yes, sir. So, because you've got 4 separate tax parcels, at the end of the day, we deliberate on each parcel, one by one.
Yes, sir.
And go through your email, go through the old tax cards and everything, and render a decision, and then we give you a letter for each parcel in about 2-3 weeks' time in the mail. And so you'll be notified of the decisions we make today. And like I said, if you're not happy with that, then the only final appeal you have would be go to the circuit court judge. But we've seen some disparities in values, both in land and improvement values. So that's why we're here, is to go through the data and look and see where mistakes may have occurred. And then we have the wherewithal to be able to make changes to those.
What I don't understand, you say, what? I don't care, you can wait,
No,
Gwen.
you go ahead, you're fine.
This is my court day right now. God. How do you increase land value?
Well, first off, we don't do anything. The assessor is charged with every 4 to 5 years going out and looking at all the residential property and commercial property in the county and coming up with values. And they use algorithms, and they've got a booklet about that thick of how they come up with different values. So in years past, values have been lower because the market's been a little lower.
Right, because of COVID and all, I understand it.
So now values are starting to come up more in line with market value.
But 75%?
Well, however, we've seen some with huge increases that we have gone back and go, yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, 'cause
We
that-
can't justify that, so,
'Cause that's the smallest lot down on Iberias Road.
yeah.
It's half the size of everybody else's.
And so that's why we can go through again and look at all the data, and we have the wherewithal to say, no, we're gonna make a change on this assessment to bring the land down or bring the improvements down because we don't feel that it was done properly. And the assessor, he's going through thousands of properties, and people make mistakes, but that's why this board is here to look at mistakes that could have been made.
Well,
and
see, the
make
assessor
corrections
who
to them.
did it down there at Iberis, it's on film. He never even got out of his car. He sat right in his car, and that's on tape.
And-
Never got out and just turned out and went back out.
We've heard that too, yeah.
I didn't know my son had it on film, but he does.
Anyway, the other one is an email to that one too.
They all got emails on each one of
No,
them.
no, no. It's attached to it.
Okay, go on.
That was 9014 Maryball Road, got it. And same thing with that, looks like the building value went up 400%.
I mean, I could see we did home improvement on stuff, but we didn't.
Right. Nothing's changed since the last
Nothing.
assessment.
Absolutely nothing.
Gotcha.
And 700, what, how big is that house? 700 square feet? No, it's still on Mary's Point Lane. What's, that's because I have ADHD?
It looked like the improvements, the land stayed the same on that one, but the improvements went from $12,000 to $60,000.
Yeah, 12.6. Yeah, how's that? And we never did anything to the house.
Well, you've got oil below it and you painted it with gold leaf, didn't you?
Yeah, you gave me the gold. You gave me the gold. That's what I'm saying, it don't make sense. I jumped so high.
Right, right. Well, again, you've come to the right place, and we do take each case by case very seriously and go through and look at, and we've found some mistakes, but you're in good hands with this board because you've got
I know Miss Davis.
you've got some
I know you.
You've got some seasoned folks on this board that care about what we do and want to make sure that we're doing things right. So.
For real?
We,
Hey, Baldy, I didn't even recognize you.
I know, it's been a while. How you been?
All right, RJ.
we had to bring in somebody who knew something about land and values up y'all's way.
Yeah,
I got them all fooled.
you do? Good. But, is there any way y'all gonna be able to help us or no? Because y'all raking us out of this.
Yeah, let you
So I can tell you that at the end of the day after the last hearing, we're gonna go through each case by case, but on the outside looking in with 200, 300% increases,
Yeah.
it sounds like there's some things that we need to dive into harder, so,
And I know you get a lot of complaints. Oh, I know it.
no, we don't call them complaints, we call them opportunities. You know, it's an opportunity to take something that's negative and possibly make it positive. But again, the assessor, they're human and they make mistakes, so you've got an appraiser and 2 real estate professionals on this board, and Ms. Davis, who's been with us since assessors began here in the county, I guess, and RJ who knows everything, so.
I think what he's doing is calling you old.
No, I said.
He's
she-
calling you
No,
old.
she's
I'm
wise. She's wise. So
That's okay,
you're
I'm
in good hands, and what we'll do is we'll send, I guess, Crystal, one envelope with the 4 tax map parcels to you,
Oh,
to y'all's home address.
all right, go ahead, what about the store now?
The 4 parcels?
You had 4 parcels up at the store?
Yes, sir.
Because I can't see how that jumped up 100%, and the building's not even being rented.
Yeah, that's the one that went up
Yeah,
almost 400%.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think you've provided us, the emails are very helpful because that's background information that we wouldn't know without going and visiting the site, which we can do. But if we went and visited every site of every person who came before the board, we'd probably have to give up our full-time jobs for a while. So-
Hey, RJ don't do anything anyway but farm, you know,
Well, on days that it rains, he probably can't get out there, but
yeah, RJ.
today he probably needs to be out there farming, right? No comment?
All right.
Nah, I'm afraid.
I hope I didn't take a lot of y'all's time.
No,
but
no,
I
it's all-
hope you all really look at it closely.
Well, we sure will.
because
We sure
Y'all
will.
hit me hard this year, very, very hard.
Not us.
No,
We're.
I
we're-
won't even say that. My wife told me to be good in here, so I won't even say it.
I will share one thing with you and everybody else here too, that the notices you got from the assessment in the county, the amount of tax levy, that's based on if the new value stood at the current tax rate, that would be the new taxes. However, the Board of Supervisors is going to meet in May to determine the new tax rate for the coming year. Highly unlikely that the rate will stay where it is. Most likely it's going to come down because values,
But when is it gonna come back up though? That's
the tax rate,
Yeah, yeah, next year.
they meet year to year.
Yeah.
But see, we don't reassess but every 4 to 5 years. So if they do change them next year, I don't think you're going to have a 5 or 10% increase. It's probably going to be minimal. So.
I keep telling her, let's do this. I told you I didn't even need my.
One thing before I leave. I'm just playing.
Oh,
That's because you're old. David,
Hey.
you don't need me no more.
Great to see you guys. No, thank y'all for everything, and we will, 2 to 3 weeks' time, send y'all a letter for each parcel.
Well, you got 4 of them, what's been over 3 months now.
For what?
Never anything on.
Yeah, I can't answer to that, but what I can tell you is, I can promise you, you will hear from us, because on each of these letters, I've got to sign it, and Jan's got to sign it.
Well, you gotta sign it.
Yes, sir.
You're the realtor too.
She's the appraiser.
Appraiser. Who do I know you from?
Real
I'm a
estate.
realtor as well.
Oh, Jesus. I'm with you all.
No, you want that, because you want people who know values,
Right.
Yeah,
right?
but you the one who's gonna tell me, nah, let's go hire on
Well, you don't want to sell them, do you?
Huh?
You don't want to sell them, do
I
you?
will sell you one across the street.
No.
for exactly what you appraised it for, how about that?
Maybe the appraiser will buy it for what he appraised it for.
Oh, no, you're not talking, they didn't.
No, I'm
They're
not buying
liable.
anything.
They
I'm not
know
buying
better.
anything.
See, I do sure. Yeah, sell that one. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch 2 to 3 weeks by mail.
And don't call her old, I still love that lady.
I love her too. If she wasn't here, we couldn't operate.
Then you
She
got
keeps
that.
us straight.
Y'all have a great.
Thank you, buddy. Good to see you.
Thank y'all.
All righty. So we got to add 2 more parcels to that one.
What was the tax map there?
That last one?
Yeah.
1627D. Yes, ma'am. All right, let's pull this next one here. Is she still at the bank?
No, I don't think so.
I didn't think so. I
I'm
didn't
pretty sure
recognize
she
it
isn't.
first.
You didn't have your glasses on.
That's my problem. There we go. 2754B. There we go. Dr. Weiland, how you doing?
Doing great.
Come on forward, buddy.
Thank you.
Sorry we're 2 minutes behind schedule,
Oh,
but
absolutely not. Well,
we'll turn things over to you. We've got the tax card, and the assessor sheet in front of us.
okay.
So I'll turn it over to you, and then after you're finished, we'll go through some questions we may have and go
Okay.
from there.
I want to say first that regardless what happens to me the rest of the week, that last 30 minutes gave me enough laughs to last. So I'm good. That was,
You know, anybody's welcome to come listen to these hearings whenever they want to. I think it's also on live cast. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
actually go back and watch this video if you want to catch up on laughs later on.
On fire.
Well, I don't know how much information you all have, but my parcel that I'm looking at is 2754B. Built the house, yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Built the house in 1989, and they said it was 3,904 square feet. It was recently assessed the total value at $1,214,800, with an increase in land assessment 6%, from 422, roughly 422,000 to 447, which I think is reasonable, at $139,000 an acre. And the assessment of the improvements increased over 53%, from 499,000 to 767,000. So it went from $128 per square foot to 196. And I realized that, you know, I was actually here at the meeting for another reason when the assessor talked to the board, and he said, "Are there any questions?" And I wasn't here for that, but I said, "Are the prices now increased in the county because of COVID and the vast migration from Northern Virginia and Richmond?" And he said, "Absolutely." He said, "People are coming in and just buying because they want to get away from the plague." But anyway, the reasons that I am requesting a reconsideration of the assessment, I don't think that it's terribly out of line. I went through everybody on Taylor Creek that sold a house in the last year and a half. So not asked for prices, but actually sold prices. And my house itself is, like I said, built in '89. It's got some issues. There's 3 heat pumps, and 2 of the heat pumps in the house haven't been working for about 2 or 3 years, actually 4 or 5 years. And the HVAC guys have come in and they're able to replace one. The other one is in the ceiling. And unfortunately, when the house was built, and I was in my practice in the county, I didn't have time to figure out all this stuff. But the HVAC guys now are telling me that we can't even get to that unit that's failed. And so Red Law says that we'll have to either cut out the whole ceiling, which would be structurally a problem because it's the roof, or we'd have to build a room and then reduct it and take the other unit out and just, so anyway, pretty expensive. And then they're telling me, and I'm not a HVAC mechanical guy, but when my house was built, and you guys would probably know better than I, but the refrigerant has changed, and because it's a different refrigerant, it's much higher pressure, and they said, well, you can hook it up, but it may blow your lines.
It went from 410 to I think it was 410 was the old one, the new one, we had just gotten a price and it was $2,500 for 5 pounds of refrigerant of the old stuff.
Wow.
Because they're not making those anymore, and it's not now a hybrid if you have to limp along with an older system, so I know,
Wow. So, I mean,
very expensive.
I don't know. They said that if they do pressurize it and blows a line, then they have to run conduits and stuff up the side of the house, which would also detract from the value. And I don't know. So that's one thing. The other thing is that the southern side of the house, the boards have been falling apart for years, and the painters, I have done it, and the painters have done it, and it's just a minor thing, but it does take away from the value of the house, is that the boards are all split. They look okay because they're full of putty and then painted over, but that in itself is deteriorating. Another thing is the septic system. I don't know if any of you remember Gary Grab. Yeah, good old Gary. Well, he did my permit back in, I guess it was '88, and he said, "Doc, this, I'm letting you have this because, you know," and we had to build something quick because of the Bay Act, or at least get a foundation in. And Gary said, "You know, if you get 15 years out of this septic field, you're going to be lucky." Of course, that put the fear of God in me. So I, every 3 or 4 years, instead of the required, I think it's 5 years,
Yes, sir.
I have them come out and pump out. I have 2 tanks. So I have a pump tank and a septic tank. I have them come and they say, "Oh, you don't need to do the pump tank." I was like, do everything. So it's an increased expense, and I have done that religiously. And I think if you ask my family and my guests, we have signs everywhere that says, "Please limit water use."
Right.
You know, and it's just the nature of the beast in Taylor Creek. David Miles was out. The lot next door to me has, Ann Meekins has it for sale. And David Miles was out there a couple days ago, and they're digging trenches down to 15 feet. And so the younger guy's David too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His son.
So the younger David, I was out there with him talking, he goes, "The soil is terrible. The only thing that in this 15 acres," he said, "we're going to go way back to the other side that they're trying to sell." But he said, "It's all clay. The alternative system is." So I have the fear that mine is going to fail. It hasn't yet, but, you know, it's very, very tenuous. And we have no backup, we have no area for a backup field. So it may, and we've been there 89, what does it make it, 35 years, somewhere around there? So we're living on borrowed time. So that's another thing. I don't know how this would come into play with your all's deliberations, but do you all know about the kayak launch, which is being planned and opened up by the county on Taylor Creek, the boat launch?
I'm not,
It's one of the 3 parks that they're doing.
Right.
They're doing Carter's Cove. There's one that they're doing on Taylor's Creek, and then I guess.
Where on
one
Taylor's
would
Creek?
be You know, I've seen pictures of it. I'm not 100% sure. How close is it to where?
It's right up around this, it's not,
It'll be access off of Wilson's Road.
okay.
You know where the Tide Center is putting in their housing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
it's right there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Heights a few years ago.
right.
So I am all for that, and I have actually a newsletter that I send out. It's my second one is, and Bruce Julian is helping with me with that. So I'm very much for the public access. But I have a feeling it's depreciating and going to depreciate some of the property values in that area, because people are like, "I don't want a bunch of strangers paddling by my house." And matter of fact, I don't know if it's hearsay. In a court of law, you can't bring that up. This isn't. But that someone had, one of the property owners had offered to buy land on another creek for the county if they did not use that parcel. I have no idea. But I do know that one guy who's right next to it sold. He said,
Didn't want it,
I'm getting
yeah.
out of here. And the fourth thing is I just went through and I have all sorts of, the listings and the MLS about land and property value, but what I came up with was that the average assessment for improvements on Taylor Creek was $180, roughly $180.75 per square foot. The median assessment was $177.50. But if you took out, the guy that was like $350 a square foot and $40, so you took out the two high and lows, just like the ice skating, figure skating judges do. My wife used to figure skate as a child, so that's what we watch. But the average with removal of the high and low outliers was about 176. So we're being charged 196, so about $20 more a square foot.
So that's if you roll the land value and everything in and then divide it by the square footage of the property?
That was using, I took the land value that I was assessed per acre and used that as a broad measure of everybody else's land value. So, the guy who had 9 acres, I took his land value and multiply it by my cost as a multiplier. That's going to make it too high on some and too low on others, but I thought it would be an average. So due to the potential change in the public nature of the creek, the physical status of the house, which is not bad, but it's deteriorating, and needs potentially moderately expensive work. The potential in the very tenuous situation with our septic system, all I'm asking for is the same assessment of roughly 176 per square foot that is common to the houses that just have sold. So it's a minimum decrease of, I think it's roughly 10%, 10.5%, but I think it's more in line with what the going rate is. And when I got home, my video camera also showed this guy getting out there, hey, anybody home, anybody home? Knocking on the door, then left. So I don't know how much he saw, but he did try to get me, but I wasn't home.
Dr. Ron, did you say your square footage was 39?
That's what's on the paperwork, so I'm assuming that it's correct.
So what we've got is 4191.6. But if you have a different figure, that's going to make a little bit, we'll make sure the data is accurate. Because at that, the assessor took 4191.60
40.
at $171 a square foot. That's what he's assessing you on for the, so.
40, I'm sorry, 4190?
4191.6. And I think, well, I know that came from the previous 2019 tax card,
Okay,
but if you've got a different figure, then we need to correct our records to make sure it's accurate. But the assessor did value the structure, the home, at $171 a square foot.
$171
Is it
per.
a full 2.5 stories? Or is it just two?
It's 2.5.
2.5, okay.
It's got an attic that we converted when my daughter, turned 14. She didn't want to be on a bunk bed anymore, so
Wanted her own space.
upstairs.
Okay.
4 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Five baths. I guess if you count the upstairs, her bedroom would be.
Okay.
You know what the septic is rated for? Is it a 4-bedroom septic that you installed back in '89?
I don't know. I know that when we built the house, it was either 3 or 4. I don't.
I don't know how much of a difference that makes, but if it's a 3-bedroom septic and the field is kind of marginal, then you wouldn't be able to advertise it as a 4-bedroom.
Right.
So it might be something to
Yeah, no, that's
ask about.
Yeah.
that's a good question.
And it looks like your previous assessment for 2019, the price per square foot was $78.13. So this one jumped up to $171, so it's $100 more per square foot
Okay.
in 2019, and that's something that we've seen across the board with some values where the land value didn't increase much at all.
Right.
But the improvements jumped considerably, and so we've had to make some corrections in that avenue, so.
Right.
And that's, yeah, you went from 327, 489 to 716, 763, so that's almost double from before.
Yeah.
So, anybody else on the board have any questions for Dr. Weiland? Well, I appreciate your time, Dr.
Okay.
Weiland, and what we're going to do is, at the end of the day, deliberate each case-by-case basis, and
Sure.
then send you a mail of our decision in
Okay.
about 2-3 weeks' time, so.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if it's doable and my arguments were sufficient, it's like a 10% would be greatly appreciated, I think, more in line. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all
you.
very much.
All right. Ms. Bello? Did I pronounce it correctly?
Not quite, but good enough.
Baloo, daggone it. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Let me pull up y'all's map real quick here.
All right.
539. Okay, we're off Norwood Church Road.
That's correct.
All right. Well, I'll turn it over to you guys.
All right, well, then we just have 2 quick points.
Okay.
As you mentioned earlier, the increase of people coming from Northern Virginia and Richmond driving up the property values. I don't think they're looking at something like what we have, which is a 5-acre plot surrounded by farmland that we don't own in a 1907 farmhouse. It's not waterfront, it's not new construction. So I'm not sure that the increase in county property values necessarily apply to ours. Along our road, we have
Now, this is
At
the
least-
house that's across the street from us, and this one is also across the street from us. And this is on the way down the road just a tiny bit, and then this is a huge
tree that they cut down like 2 years ago and just left it.
Left it to rot.
It's
Oh,
just
this is
sitting there.
No one lives in this.
So the houses along the way, there's several, obviously, you can see that somebody coming to move in, they're not looking for someplace like that. So I think that might decrease the value of our property as well. The other thing that we'd like you to consider is, there are really on our little road, 3 farmhouses. Ours, one directly across the street whose property value is quite a bit less, but the
This is-
house isn't really.
Is this it right here where my
Yeah.
marker is?
Yeah.
Okay.
His isn't, he doesn't, it's not really maintained, so understand that. But another neighbor right across the way, they have basically the same thing we have. They have a house and about 10 acres of farmland. It's old, but, it's well-maintained. And what we noticed was our property value went up 56%, according to our math, and theirs went up 24%. So I'm just not understanding the discrepancy between the two increases.
And this is exactly like Dr. Weiland's, y'all's land didn't change at all,
No,
29.2, but your improvements jumped from 159.6 to 264.4.
right, correct.
So since the last assessment, have y'all done anything?
No. I mean,
No-
we've,
no
we've,
new roof,
we've,
no new siding?
we moved in 3 years ago. I got 3 different types of shingles on my roof, so eventually I'm gonna have to replace the roof. It's been patched along the way.
And also too, it looks like the previous, is the square footage correct, 2108? That sound
Correct.
right? Mm-hmm. 4 bedrooms, 3 full baths and 2 half baths?
No. 5 bathroom? No.
No,
We
no.
have 3,
3 bathrooms
correct.
Yes,
and then 2 half baths?
no,
No,
just
No
plain
half
old
bath.
No half baths?
no half baths.
Well, that's one error right there, because they've got 2 half baths. 2 stories?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Lemon.
Let's see, we got a pole shed, 12 by 20. And they
Okay.
gave that $9,600 of value. 24 by 24 garage.
Yeah, that's
How's
about
the
right.
shape on that?
It's
Average?
okay, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was built, I guess it's not cardboard, but it's not much above it, and then the.
Like
and then
masonite siding or
the-
something?
Well, and then the vinyl siding was put on side, so you can see where like mice and whatnot have
There's a lot of holes.
eaten some of that away,
Okay.
but, from the outside, it's okay.
And then there's another 24 by 30
Same
frame
deal.
garage, same condition?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, again, from the 2019 assessment, they had it valued at $74 roughly a square foot. And now this time, $146 a square foot. So we're all going, yeah, probably same as you all were when you got your assessed value.
right.
Do you think the price you paid in 2021 is pretty in line with what the value is now, or?
We paid it, so I hope so.
Good answer.
But I think, I do
Well,
think
you-
that
you
we
all-
were, because I'm a retired school teacher, and when we decided to move, we weren't necessarily looking for, waterfront or what, we wanted to we were happy with a farmhouse in the middle of a field.
Sure.
So we're happy to pay that, but I
We
think,
came from Virginia Beach and we just wanted this is a lovely area. and we
Laid
just
back,
wanted
rural.
quiet,
Right.
No traffic and all that, so.
And
I'm
you
not
all
sure.
purchased it April 19th, 2021.
mm-hmm,
So it was right after COVID.
Yeah.
And the market pre-COVID and post-COVID were very different.
sure,
People were coming in droves, buying property here to get away from the cities, and
right.
so that was a spike in values at that point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? I think this is going to be another one that we're going to have to just dive into and look at.
Well, that's all we're asking.
It's kind of like before, a lot of the land values were going up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go through and look at similar pieces of land around and, but more and more of these have been the improvement side.
Right.
And so we do have some flexibility with determining value on that, but more importantly, I think the 2 half baths, that's gonna make some value difference right there, because it was an error.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been on your tax card,
For who knows how long.
well, they changed it from 2 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms. So I guess the previous assessment had 2-bedroom house. And the assessor marked 4 bedrooms. And then
Oh,
they took it from 1 bath to 3 full baths.
great. And then-
And gave it 2 fireplaces.
No. It has 1 fireplace that's non-functional. There might have been, maybe back in the way back times,
Maybe in the
there's
kitchen.
a pillar along the walls, you know?
Okay.
So maybe that was an old fireplace at one point, I don't know, but
You said on the
that's
tax card,
drywalled
though?
in.
We got 2?
Yeah, but is that a 2 or a 1? Because over here it's a 1,
Well,
but.
maybe a 1,
I don't
yeah.
know.
But that fireplace is not functional?
No,
Okay.
Okay.
no, it would have to be repaired before
It-
I would feel comfortable using it, you know?
Oh, the
We
basement is
we
crawling
covered
space,
that with a-
okay.
Crawl space?
You know, wood thing,
Right, right.
yeah.
A garage.
Well, I think we've got enough to,
You have a 2-car garage?
Yes.
Where is the house that went up 24%? That's similar to yours?
So it's right on, it's 735 Norwood Church Road.
735 Norwood Church, okay. We
35.
can definitely look at that as a
Yeah.
equalization. See what happened to their values.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to get them in trouble, don't be.
We've had some folks come in, and after looking at things, we've had to equalize neighboring properties. So some have not even come in and requested, and theirs got lowered.
Okay.
We've had maybe a few where we've had to raise them a little bit, because they weren't, but,
Oh, come on now.
but that wasn't the majority of the time, so.
All right.
But again, with y'all's, it's not about the land, it's all about the improvements of y'all's property, so.
Right.
Everybody good? All right, well, thank you
All right,
all for
thanks for
coming in.
your time.
Thank you.
And, as you all heard,
Right.
kind of broken record, but in 2 to 3 weeks' time, we'll send you guys, a notice by mail of our decision, so.
Okay.
Super.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
I just got a phone message, your 10:15 is running late.
Okay. Georgie Simmons. Hadn't he come in each time?
Probably. Probably.
They call it Porgy, right?
Porgy.
Yeah, with the beard. Remember him, Ms. Davis? George Simmons. He's come in the past 2 assessment
Well-
years with the beard. He lives down Simmons Lane.
Is he a pain, can't remember, was he a pain in the PIA?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, let me see, George Simmons.
So next we're doing Libarger. 242 The Lane. Why does that sound
Oh,
familiar?
okay. It changed the name.
Gotcha. 242 The Lane. Which one was that?
So, you know, where Mr. Simmons, where Raleigh's dad, the
Mhm.
brick one?
On the corner?
Yeah, she's kind of like almost across the street from her, like where the Littles lived,
Yeah,
used to live,
yeah.
right, almost directly across the street.
On the other side of the street. Gotcha. Okay.
Good morning.
Hello.
Should we go ahead and,
Yeah, I'll tell you, Miss Simmons, since you all are here early and our 10:15 is running late, if you all want to come, go ahead now. Come on up to the podium there, and let me pull up your parcel here. E. Let's see. Simmons, okay. Five 27 Simmons Lane.
0527, okay.
Yep, we're going to the 10:45 appointment.
You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, love.
Okay, George, I'll turn it over to you, buddy.
Okay, I guess I just want to start out by saying that the whole basis of this, I know it's not you guys, it's the state, of this being a fair way to appraise a piece of property is very difficult for people on fixed incomes and who've lived here a long time. It's a regressive tax. And it discourages people from staying here in the area. I see some of you up there are realtors. This is heavily realty-based on people with a fiduciary interest in keeping the values up. This piece of property has been in my family since 1844. It has never, in that 200 years, been on the market. It is not something that has a fair market value. It has been only owned in the Simmons and or George family since 1844 at least. So to arbitrarily come up with a market value based on someone who, not even from the area, who walks around the outside and takes his tape measure and checks square feet and compares it to McMansion down the creek is unfair. It's completely insane. The house was built in 1885 and has been maintained to a livable condition only since then. We drink water out of a well that's 16 feet deep and was dug in 1885 and have my whole life. as realtors, you know that if you walked up to that house and looked at it, you would be selling the property, the waterfront property. You would not be selling the house because it's a tear down in today's society. Nobody is going, unless they've got a Bob Vila complex, is gonna come and buy that house knowing that they've got to spend more on it. What they're gonna look at is say, well, this is a liability, I have to tear down these structures.
Our upstairs is literally built for the Simmonses. We got about this much.
But I mean, it's an 1880s house.
Farmhouse, yeah.
It's an 1880s farmhouse, it's not a McMansion.
And we've brought pictures. We can't afford to upkeep it like some of these people on Dimer Creek have to upkeep their houses.
But the bottom line is, in 5 years, that the house value doubled. Not the land, but the house value doubled. Even though we've spent no money on it, right now, we have a metal roof that needs either to be painted or replaced. We cannot find a contractor who will even come and look at it to paint for us. We've had a couple of people look at it and give us prices, but never show up. We're both senior citizens, we're both septuagenarians. We hope to live there until we die.
And we hope our daughter gets it.
But the fact is, over the years, it has not been maintained to the level of a $500 square foot McMansion. And we had a downstairs suite added 5 years ago, so that we wouldn't have to go up and down the stairs to take a bath. Now that has some value, it's fairly new, you know, we're hanging on to it, but then somebody comes and buys the place, what are they gonna do with it? They're gonna tear that off along with the rest of it to put up their big house. So I maintain that the house has a value of about the amount of the addition, $50,000. Which is where the house was valued about 15 or 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I have, at the last huge increase in real estate that we had here in the late 90s, 2000s, I advocated I wrote a letter to the governor, which was a waste of my time, and wrote a letter in the Rappahannock Record suggesting that Virginia, if they want to be for Virginians, continue to be for Virginians, that we implement some sort of a homestead exemption for longtime residents of the state. I'm putting it back up again. I talked with our representative, Ms. Kent, about proposing such legislation and talking about that to the governor and others in hopes of cutting some of this short. But we would like you to reconsider the way especially long-term residents are treated as far as this value goes, and maybe set the tax values based on the last sale of the properties, rather than the
Replacement value. Yeah, which is what.
Comparison to something someone
Yeah.
else sold that is maybe not as comparable as square feet and location.
Yeah. I mean, we felt like when we looked at it, it was like an insurance companies coming in and looking at the house and saying, well, you know, it's a X number of square foot house and it's got, you know, and this is what it's going to take to replace it. And that's not realistic. Because it's just not worth that. We have pictures, we have pictures that we brought, that George brought on his phone, but I mean, the house is livable. That's it. So
Did you
that's what
have-
we're asking, is a real consideration for that.
Did you have pictures of the?
Yeah, he's got them.
Okay.
That's fine. We can all squeeze in if y'all want.
I don't have any way of that, this is just, the condition of the ceilings in the house is the original plaster, cracks, falling loose, and, that sort of thing.
It's
And
a
where it
laid
hasn't-
plaster
When that
house.
hasn't been done,
With-
there's been acoustic tiles put in over the years to try to maintain it. And as you can see, cheap, mahogany or whatever, glue-on paneling on the walls because of the, excuse that one, that's just something that, there's, on the shed, there's, my neighbor's trees are falling on the building. I can't afford to have them removed. There's the roof of the house.
Where's the
One
picture of the house?
There's,
The actual picture of the
I
house?
don't have a picture of the whole house, but I mean, the general,
We can probably pull up on mom and that, yeah.
the general, you can probably pull, there's the
Dock.
dock needs to be resurfaced. There's one of the outbuildings that's basically falling down. That outbuilding was built in about 1890.
Oh,
Yeah.
more of the roof, yeah.
The roof, I have one here, there's a part of the deck that's falling off. There's the chimneys, there are no chimneys at all in the house that work. They'd all need to be relined or re-torn down. In other words, the house is just an old house.
Yep.
It's not, there's a place, that's the original porch roof, but it's leaking through the roof up above it, and that's starting to rot. Just that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just, in general, it's not McMansion territory, and doubling, I mean literally doubling
Oh, yeah, you
the
went,
value of the square footage of the same exact house,
right.
only maybe in a little worse condition. And it's not on the market. It is not going to be on the market
Sure.
unless someone forces the issue, which is where the whole system seems to be pointed. It seems to be pointed toward people who move here, live here 5 years, sell it, make a profit, and move on to someplace else that they can do that.
Right.
My family's been here a long time. My family's been here longer than 1844, different branches of it.
Thank you for listening to us.
Does anybody else have any questions for the
Yeah,
Senate?
the pictures are very helpful, thank you.
Sure.
All right.
And I don't, I hear you, I don't think it's the county's intent
I know it's
to,
not the
to
county.
try to move, force people out, but,
That's the effect.
Oh, I know,
Whether it's the
and-
intent or not.
No, I-
That's why the whole system, the whole idea is somewhat flawed in
Right.
its approach.
right,
That's why I want to approach the legislature to come on. And I would encourage anybody who feels the same as I do, anybody who values long-term residency.
sure.
And does anybody else in here live in the house their great-grandfather built, or that their grandfather was raised in, and that they were raised in? I doubt there's more than a handful of us left. Most of them have sold out and turned into waterfront subdivisions. Most of it is gone.
Right.
You know this all too well, but a lot of you are realtors. That's all I have to say, I guess.
Well,
Okay, thank you.
without any more questions, we appreciate y'all's time and presentation.
All
And
righty.
we will, render our decision at the end of the day today. We go through case by case, and then we'll notify you all by mail in about 2 to 3 weeks' time of our decision.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. right. Is Ms. Lieberger? Okay. Hey, Lee.
Hey,
How you doing? Come on up to the podium here, buddy.
Harbor, flashing it up there, folder.
I guess, Mr. Chairman and Board, first, I thank you for serving. This is not a pleasant task that you have. I'm more than aware of that. And neither were the preliminary results a pleasant receipt for us either. So I'm glad you're convening. If to kind of cut, I'm not sure if there's a procedure. This home is on 242, the lane.
Yes, I got it pulled up here, Lee.
Okay. It's a cute little home from the outside, but it's in an architectural style, few, if any others, in the area, and it's been on the market twice in the last 5 to 7 years. Some of you are there, maybe more than one of you with real estate license, and you knew you did not have any demand to see the home or be in the home. It was on the market for $275 when Terry Dork had it listed, and then price was dropped to $240. I've lived in this home for the past 17 years, and there was zero traffic. Now, why was there zero traffic with the real estate market as brisk as it is because not quite like the previous citizen was sharing, but the interior has not been upgraded or improved significantly in the past 40 years. Hardwood floors are showing extreme wear. Bathrooms are really tight. We wrote that there's a bathrooms are 6 feet by 7.5, 2 of the 3. So the kitchen is pushed to be an eat-in kitchen. It was recommended by the realtor that we not have a little table there, but use a sunroom that is not part of the HVAC system. And so it was really impractical, even though it was recommended and done a little bit for show. The split level is just not conducive to, apparently, to our demographic that's coming, that wants to purchase homes. As a matter of fact, that's why we had it on the market, because it's not completely. I've had 2 double knee replacement, which is totally aside, I know, but the bedrooms, there's no bedroom on the ground floor. On the garage, what was the old garage floor, there is a utility room there that, so I guess the concern that I have, knowing that the exterior presents itself, is really the interior in terms of the value that you don't have that information from your reports, because it's not photographed on the inside. The heating system is baseboard, which is objectionable apparently to the choices in the marketplace. And I'm going to acknowledge again, I've just driven in since 6 o'clock from Chapel Hill. So is there other information that I should, or that you have query about that I need to share with you to indicate that we feel that the increase at, I think it last at 38% is disproportionate to market value of the home, and
Right.
and we've tested that.
Lee, just going through some facts. Square footage, 1686. Does that sound accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
In
And
round,
then a basement, but only 10% of that's finished, so, well, no,
there's not a,
is the basement finished?
no, it's tri-level
Okay.
in this style. So you come in from that carport is, you're familiar on the side to the property that the Simmons have, and you walk into that to a washroom, which can be used as exercise room, and maybe it was designed as a two-car garage, but then the other half of that washroom is a larger rec room, to say.
Okay.
And then you go up a flight of steps, and then you're on the main level, a small, like 8 steps.
Okay.
Then there's where you have living room, dining room, and kitchen. And then about 15 steps up to the, where the bedrooms are.
3 bedrooms,
Yes.
3 full baths?
With the, yes, but the 3 rooms that have a, toilet and shower, there's only 1 tub, and those bathrooms are really tight, the one off of the master bedroom.
Okay.
There's a larger bathroom on the second floor that you would think would maybe be the master bedroom, but it serves the whole second floor.
Gotcha.
Okay, it's that, yeah. It's, size of the bathroom just a little larger, but similar to larger, the nicer homes, they have a bathroom right at the door when you come in. I mean, so the guests don't have to go all over the home. That's about the size of the bathrooms with, with an extra 6.5, you guys. Is it 6.5 by 7. 2 showers, 1 tub.
Okay.
Sorry, for too long on that.
So it looks like here again, similar to the rest, that the land value didn't go up but $5,000, but the improvements went up 28%.
Right, and on the land values, I did not research, that may be my shortcoming in terms of other issues, but I would hope that the unimproved property to, if you're facing home to the right, which is part of the Simmons estate.
This one here on the corner?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
What is that land value?
$80,000, same as yours.
Yeah, I would, and I think that's not necessarily adding value to anyone. It's interesting. And then to the left going down, also the Simmons property, or maybe in several land and Williams property, it's a bungalow, an unimproved, very unimproved.
And see, this one here on the other side of you, just
On the same side of the street.
land value $75,000. So we will look at both the land value and the improvement value, because they should be pretty much uniform, at least on each side of the street. 'Cause
Understand.
you've got similar road frontage, topography, all the same. Anybody on the board have any more questions for Mr. Capps?
No, I'm good.
Anything more from you, Lee?
I don't, do you have a copy of the letter that was sent initially, December the 9th, in the file, or a summary of it, the property?
We don't have those, no. Do you have an extra one?
I do.
That'd be great.
And I do have a couple extra of the property description that was there. And was working on it consistently. Literally yesterday, Pritchard and Fallon were there for another, it's almost like dental work, another $600 bill for I should mention it is significant. The thermostats, the HVAC, the floorboard, the heating, the thermostats in 3 of the rooms are not functioning, and because they hadn't been changed.
So the baseboard heat doesn't work in 3 of the rooms? Perfect.
Thank you.
That's great. There's an extra copy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. All the information was greatly appreciated. Anything further? Lee, thank you for making this presentation. as you heard after today's hearings, we'll go through every single case by case, really dive into land value, improvement value, et cetera. And then we will, I guess, 242 The Lanes, that's still a good mailing address?
It is.
All right, so
Yeah,
we'll
for
send a
either
letter
one
to
of
that
us.
address
Okay,
with the board's decision from today in about 2 to 3 weeks' time.
okay. If the decision's going to be made today, can we access the decision ahead of the mail, or?
It would be on the live feed, so from the county's website.
We won't know the numbers, because that has to go to the revenue, and that takes at least a couple weeks to get back to me.
Okay.
Fine, we're not moving, selling, or hope nothing happens to the house from now and then. Okay. Thank you very
Great to
much
see you,
again
Lee.
for your service, appreciate it.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Okay. All right, Mr. Bradley? How you doing?
I'm Mr. Brad, this is Mr. Long.
Okay. Nice to see you guys.
All right, nice to see you.
Sorry, we running a little bit behind, kind of
Thank
shuffling.
y'all for taking the time to.
Our pleasure.
I'll give this to you.
That'd be great.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Awesome. And what we've got here, we've got the tax card, and we've got the assessor's field data sheet. So that on each parcel, we can go through with you all and make sure that the data's correct. And then after we're done today, go through and look at changes that need to be made. So y'all want to start with the first parcel, which is 19-83B. That's the 25 acre parcel.
Oh, the 25 acres. Sure.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Karen.
And I will turn it over to you guys, like before, very kind of informal, let you guys talk, and then we'll ask questions in between, and
Right, well, to talk about the 25 acre parcel, we, at the present value, we put the 25 acre parcel on a conservation easement, which means it's not buildable. It's basically, you can walk on it, pretty much that's it. You know, you can't put a house or a residence there.
No divisions.
We did that, you know, to not be able to build there, just because we didn't, in our mind, didn't want to see somebody across the street. The assessment went down, then it went directly up. And
After.
I don't understand the philosophy behind that, really, but, and it just doesn't make much sense. And I don't know if the person that looked at it valued the conservation easement or knew about it or whatever, but that is in place now. It's recorded. And it's a piece of property that, as far as use to any type of building or anything, it's more or less just a place to walk around on, you know, now.
they can't do anything on it. Yeah.
It's being farmed.
That's weird. I see it here too.
So, you know, the assessment to go down and go up, we just don't understand that.
It went down, then we put the easement on and it went back up.
Did y'all do the easement in 2023?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's when it went down
Yeah, and then.
And then went back up in
to the same
2020.
number it was before, the easement.
Yep.
So, you know, don't understand.
We don't either.
But-
Doesn't make any sense.
But like I said, the easement's recorded at the courthouse. so
Okay.
It limits everything you can do.
Very little you can do with that, yeah.
So now it's a farm field and basically a place to walk on, whatever, to a wildlife issue.
Never be divided, never be built on, as far as residence house.
That's a great thing for you guys to do.
Well,
I mean, you're preserving land, so.
Yeah.
Is it mostly wooded or is it mostly cropland?
It's probably got about 6 or 7 acres of woods and the rest of the crop field. But one thing I will add, that you asked that question, it was zoned R1. We could have put 35 parcels out there, we did not.
Okay,
Just to highlight the easement a little bit.
Yeah.
okay.
Anybody from the board have any questions on this parcel before we move to the next one?
No, sir.
Seems pretty easy on that one. All right, so the next one, y'all want to go to
F?
F?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Okay, that's lot 4. You want to do that? That's fine. Okay.
All right, let me pull up that one here. It's 83 F, yeah.
Lot 4.
It's the smallest.
Okay, gotcha.
You know, we bought this, and the assessment was, these numbers may not be exact, but
It tells you,
$20,000.
tells you what it was.
217 for this one.
Yep.
Right, in
And
2022.
an increase of 33% from the last assessment. When we got the bill, we naturally thought it may be a little bit high, but we looked into it. And we got some comparables that were about a mile down the river, and we feel like it's justified to come in here and talk to y'all. And the comparables that we got, it's not a lot of comparables. but
Courtney
some.
Road ones gave you.
Do you have those in front of you?
Courtney Road?
Yes.
I know those, yes.
All right, well, you know, these sold kind of in the height of the market after COVID. You know, that was kind of the thing there.
Oh, yeah.
But they are 30, almost 40% larger than our parcels. So, you know, that certainly is an additional value. And yes, they sold for $300,000, which basically our parcel would be assessed at just below that. But, you know, we're 30% lower.
Yeah, I did the math, it was 27, and the smaller one, 2.43 acres, is 27% bigger than our biggest one. And the smaller one we have is 42% smaller than theirs,
But
those
the
two
more-
ones.
But the more interesting thing is this, these did sell in the height of the market. A 5-acre parcel came on the market right beside these.
Last year.
5 acres. And it was on the market for $275,000 for 210 days. They pulled off the market.
You couldn't sell it. This was last
Have
year.
you?
That was me.
Okay.
I know that one very well.
Is that your property?
Well, I listed it for the owners, and then we had a 10-acre parcel beside that. We had a contract on that parcel.
Oh, I see, David did,
But,
yep.
but it fell through because the erosion and the septic. Now, the other parcels down Courtney, they also had access to a boat ramp down there. But I know those parcels very well,
Well,
yep.
well, the timing of it, you know, with us, that it was in the height of the market, and it's over 30% bigger than ours.
Right.
So we didn't understand.
Yeah,
And that's all I can say. Like I said, the one that he had listed came on the market, obviously, if it was 275, it was there.
So what was wrong with that one, the one you had listed? Why?
it was about a 30 to 40-foot cliff at the bank, and the quote they had gotten.
So it wasn't a flood zone, right?
No flood zone, but it was like $150,000 to redo the shoreline. And the problem also was septic was going to have to be a $50,000 engineered septic system there. So the
Alternative.
buyer said, nope. And I don't think it's back on the market yet. I think
It's not.
they're holding out.
Well, I mean,
Parties.
so, I mean, you have a very educated eye in looking at what we're talking.
Oh, yeah.
And those parcels are closer to Kilmarnock and Lively
sure.
and all that. They're
Yep.
closer to where the money is.
That's
You know,
right.
we're right there on the Richmond County line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of where we don't understand. And, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it jumped 193.3 to 265.3.
Yeah. And all three of our waterfront parcels jumped 33%, I believe. Yeah, all three of them jumped 33%, and all three of them are very similar and smaller than the,
How'd that go? That's what we've heard too.
well, he was looking at the same Courtney Road comparables. I'm like, well, how can you have a 30 to 40% larger parcel and want ours to be cost the same? If you're a builder, developer, you're going to sell it for more.
Absolutely.
It's bigger.
Yeah.
I'm a real estate agent as well.
Yeah,
So, yeah. When you're 40% larger, it's worth more money period. That's our,
So that's, again, we don't understand, but I honestly believe, I can look at all y'all and think, it was not really a understanding of the conservation need of the parcel. He even admitted they didn't even look at it.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
it's a total, blunder, I guess.
I think that was just a a mistake.
If you can't build a house on, you can't divide it, I mean, that's, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's took
yeah.
all the value out of the prop.
That's right. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, so that's F.
So that
And
was
then we've got
G and H.
G and H, so each side.
Each one's the same. They're all
Same jump in value for each of them.
1.7 acres, 1.4 acres, 1.5 acres.
Okay.
So they're all right there, the same acreage, smaller water frontage compared to Courtney Lane.
Right.
Smaller parcels compared to Courtney Lane, you know.
And farther away.
And you want to charge, they're further out, and they want to value ours the same as those.
Yeah.
And it's a smaller parcel with less water frontage. All of them have riprap, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, much else out there.
Sure, yeah.
Just raw.
That's why we're here.
Very interesting. Well, anybody have any questions? This is one of those different ones because most everybody's coming in saying the land values haven't changed, the improvements have gone up 200%.
Yeah.
Where y'all's, one is a complete error, I think, but two,
Right.
the land jumped 33%.
Right.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And when the height of the market was so,
Yeah.
when things were really.
Well, did you sell the other two? Did you have those listed as well?
No,
Because you had the ones-
the ones to the left of the boat ramp on Courtney, I think Middle Bay had those. Kirkendalls, I think, when they were sold.
Okay.
We had people look at the 10-acre parcel and the
Because they took out
5-acre
the market
parcel.
too. They had the 10 acres. That was
Yeah.
for 500,000, I think, or
But
something.
a lot of people said the price was just too high for, you know.
And in our eyes, the market is.
I'm not sure if you've seen them listed or been down.
Oh, sure. I
Yeah.
agree.
I mean, you know.
Totally agree, yeah.
So that's why we're here.
Well, guys, appreciate all your information, very helpful. And at the end of the day, I think our last hearing is at 2, then we go through each case-by-case basis, and y'all's point the 4 tax map parcels individually. I think one's gonna be a clerical piece, the conservation easement. And then, are y'all using the 8908?
Yes, sir.
Hollycroft? Okay, so we'll send one envelope with the 4,
All 4 together.
decisions in that one piece to you guys. And you'll get that in about 2 to 3 weeks' time, because once we give our decision over, it goes to the Commissioner of Revenue, and they gotta rework the numbers and send you all a new,
You got your hands full today. You've got a busy day, looks like.
all opportunities to make the world greater, right?
That's right, man.
Thank y'all so much for your time.
Yeah, thank y'all for coming in.
Thank you.
Very much.
Very, very interesting. Just when we think we've heard,
It tickles me they put that place in an easement.
yeah.
I mean, I know I'm biased, but, 'cause it's,
Where is Courtney? You take Whitehall?
Yeah, Whitehall to Whitechapel, his
right
backyard.
in my backyard.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all trying to sell my farmland.
I was trying to give it away to you.
I wish I could find somebody to do that.
The conservation easement, that's just the left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing, right?
Yeah.
The county reassessed it
But
during
they
the time
took
that-
it down, and they put it back up, so
Put it
I
right
think,
back
yeah,
I think the county took it down and Jason put it back up.
Yeah.
maybe he didn't realize it didn't.
But
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to ask what you do for a conservation easement. Certainly shouldn't get the same value as, it doesn't have a home site on it.
Who's farming that land, RJ, Courtney Road?
Me.
Oh, you are? Well, then the family should give it to you,
That's what I thought, but,
you know? But do you have to convince Kelly and,
yeah, we're not that close.
yeah. We weren't either, I guess. All right, we've got to Simmons.
Okay, so
So we're here. Mr. Losapio?
Yes,
Did I pronounce it correctly?
Losapio.
Dang it.
I've heard worse.
Oh, okay, good. That's two I haven't gotten perfect yet today, so I apologize for that, but welcome, come on up, buddy. Yep, we're back on schedule again. Oh, thank you. Perfect. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn everything over to you. We've got your parcel pulled up on the screen here. We've got the screen in front of
Okay.
us. We've got the tax card in front of us, and the assessor's field data sheet, so
Okay,
I'll let you take it away, and then we'll ask questions and go from there.
okay, so, I live in a very small community. It's only 8 houses, okay? And I've listed all of them here. The top one in blue is mine, 1919. What I've done is the highlighted ones, in my opinion, are true comparables, okay? The other two are smaller houses, so they're not really comps, in my opinion, okay? And what I did was, and I got all these numbers directly from the VA MANET website.
Momanet,
where
yeah.
So
Yep.
it's all numbers that came right from, what I'm assuming the assessors were using. So what I did, I listed the assessments, and then I listed the total for building and improvements, leaving out the land,
Okay?
because land is land. Land isn't going to really change, right?
Sure.
And then from that website, I've got all the total finished square footage of the houses. And using that square footage and the building and improvement numbers, I came up with a cost per square foot in the last column. So doing that, you notice my cost per square foot came to $191, which to me seems well above the comparables. The comparables show cost per square foot of between 150 and $173. Okay, so then if you look on the bottom, outside of the graph in the red, I took the high and low of that range, not including my square footage, and I totaled that, and I multiplied that out by my square footage. And these are the numbers I came to. If you look at building and improvements, and then I added back in the land for the assessment. So in my opinion, mine should have come out between 696 and 786. The one thing I will say here is that when I appealed it, it was revised slightly lower. And you could see under the second row there shows revised.
Right.
So they revised it, and they revised it because they had the wrong square footage. So I corrected that with them, and they revised it down $14,000.
Is the square footage 3121?
Square footage right now in the revised one is 3271. You see over on the side there?
I wonder if that includes the basement.
In the original assessment, the
Yes,
square footage was 3901. If you follow
Okay,
across,
so 3271 is including the 150 of finished basement.
3271, well, what I included in square footage is any finished basement that people had also. Okay? And they had the wrong finished square footage for my basement. So that brought that down.
Okay, so should it be 3271 is 3121 of the home plus 150 of finished basement?
Right.
So what?
All these numbers include any finished basement.
So what the assessor did is he took different price per square foot. So he took the home, 3121 at 173 a square foot.
Okay.
And then he took the basement of 1560. That sound about accurate?
See, that's what was corrected when I first appealed.
Okay, so that's the correct number now?
Yes.
Okay.
The correct
And
number now is like, I don't remember the number.
He
It's
gave
like
it 1560?
square feet?
Yes.
I don't think that's right. I think it's about 800 square feet. If you look at the difference between the 3271 and it should be the difference between the 3271 and the 3901.
$630.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
Because it's about, I want to say 8 by 20.
Gotcha.
maybe.
So that's something we need to correct. But he gave the basement a $15 a square foot
Okay.
value. And then the finished basement, the 150 square foot, he gave a different one.
Okay.
And so that's a little bit different than just the total overall
Right.
square footage. Let's see, 3 bedrooms, 3 full bath, 1 half bath?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Geothermal for heating,
Yes.
cooling?
Now, I'd like to make one other point,
Sure.
which to me is an important point. The purpose of the assessment, and it states right in here, is to assess at fair market value, price a seller is willing to accept and a buyer is willing to pay. Okay? I've been in this area for a while, but I just bought this house literally months before the assessment. And you see on the bottom there the price I paid,
Right.
okay? So that's the price I was willing to pay and the seller was willing to accept.
Right.
And they came in $70,000 higher than that. To me, that's the maximum it should be.
Yeah, that seems to be, land didn't increase very much, but the structural elements.
I mean, all these.
48% change, yeah.
The numbers are the numbers.
Yeah.
You could change them however you want. But the fact is, that is the price I was willing to pay and the seller was willing to accept.
Right. Sure.
So I don't know how it could be any higher than that.
Right. Anybody have any questions? These are helpful, these numbers.
Okay.
Excuse me, because we will also go back and pull their tax cards.
Well, I obviously did it in a little different
Oh, sure.
way, but
But that's gonna be helpful, because then we can see if there are disparities on price per square foot on one versus the other. And since 2019, have you made any improvements to the property?
since
New roof, new siding?
I
new-
didn't even own it then.
That's right, you just bought it in
I just,
22.
yeah, I bought it at the very end of '22,
Okay,
and they came out and assessed it in the spring of '23.
gotcha.
So within 6 months, maybe, maybe less than that.
You all have any questions? This is pretty cut and dry here. Well, we appreciate you coming in and providing us the information. And in about 2 to 3 weeks' time, we'll send, let's see, 1919 Western Branch Road?
Yes.
Okay. We'll send the letter of notification to that address with our decision.
Okay,
So,
great.
thank you for your time.
Thanks for hearing me.
Yes, sir. Yep. Board of Equalization. Perkins? How you doing? If y'all are ready, you can start early and finish early if you like. We had a cancellation for 11:15, so. That's right. Y'all coming up to the podium here, and we've got your parcel pulled up on the screen. We've also got your tax card.
Yes, sir.
And then we've got the field notes from the assessor for your property, so.
Okay.
I'll turn it over to you, and then we'll follow through, and then we can make sure we've got data correct and answer questions after you're finished.
I'm gonna let my husband talk because he's much more articulate this morning than I am.
That's fine.
He's good. I'm not a little.
That's all right.
Well, although I'm originally from this area, my family goes back into the 1600s. I'm actually around here known as Mr. Perkins, although my name is Darrell Longest. But everybody I don't know here doesn't know me by that name. A lot of us down here, though. I'd like to clarify a title issue on this property first.
Okay.
This property was bought by her grandfather when there were no other houses on the road. In fact, it was called Pagan Point at the time. It wasn't even called Blueberry Point. And her grandmother didn't like that, so she had it changed. And the post office went along with that, so it became Blueberry Point Road. But he died, and his daughter, my mother-in-law, and her husband bought it. Her husband passed away. And in 2014, unfortunately, my mother-in-law passed away. And she had done a lot of estate planning, and she'd put this property into a trust a long time ago. And the tax, but the records are still showing that there was somebody named Mel and as the owners of the property, I thought. I saw that on some record someplace, and but the real fact of the matter is that last year, as a result of the fact that her mother did a lot of tax planning, she and her brother did a lot of tax planning, and an old LLC that had been set up, Blueberry Point LLC, was finally dissolved, and the property was, she bought out her brother's interest, and the LLC then conveyed everything to her trust. So it's, and I'm a beneficiary of that trust too.
How long ago was that?
Last June.
Okay.
By a deed dated June the 23rd of last year, and the instrument number is 230001184. That's 230001184.
Hold on, 230001184?
000, 3 zeros.
3 zeros.
1184.
230001184.
Right, and that was
June 13th,
June 29th, 2023. And
June
that planning was
29th.
done by Alfie Butts, a lawyer in Irvington.
So,
So the property is actually in the name of Catherine C. Perkins, trustee, under a trust agreement that she made on June 29th, 2023, the same day.
all right, what I'm going to ask you to do, if you all don't mind after this,
That's the plan.
go right down to Beth.
Yes, sir.
It may be, I know that it takes some time.
It takes about a year.
Does it?
Well, it's been 7 or 8 years since Mama passed,
Yeah.
so her name should not have been.
You said June 29th last year was when you all changed it.
Oh, no, we did that.
Well, June 29th of last year, we changed it into her trust from the
From the
Blueberry
LLC.
Point LLC.
And so it could take a year or so,
Okay.
once you record it, for it to be
All right.
processed over.
But I just wanted you to know
But
that.
just
that there's-
check with Beth and make sure that.
We'll do that and make
Yeah.
sure that record's
Right.
clear. But someplace amongst the public records, I saw Ann Kennard Perkins, who's my mother-in-law, who passed away.
Right.
And her boyfriend, Melvin, who lived there for about 6 years, who's also passed away.
Huh.
And somehow as owners of that property, but that's not true.
Right.
And that hasn't been true, at the very least, it hadn't been true since 2014. I know that because I moved there in
Right.
2014. The point is, it's a really, really, really old place. It's been around, it was constructed in the early, we think, 19 teens, something like 1909, so it's over 100 years old.
Wow.
And I can tell you from my personal experience, it's over 100 years old, because trying to fix anything there is a big chore. The wood is very, very dry, it's very hard. It doesn't have the number of square feet that the county thinks it has, because I don't think anybody's ever marked it off and measured it, except me, personally. And I can tell you, it's exactly 2,100 square feet,
2,100?
2,100 square feet.
Okay.
It's an old farmhouse. It's all wood construction. It's got a stone foundation to it that sits on stones. So it doesn't even have a poured concrete foundation. And it's a radiator, boiler-heated house. It used to be, when I moved there, it was heated by coal. And we got rid of that and got a boiler in there that's unfortunately not working real well, but we got rid of all that. But it's still heated by radiators. Nothing new in it at all. The plumbing system was put in about 1945 when her parents moved there. And I can attest to the fact that the house used to be heated by propane gas, because every time I try to fix a light fixture or something, up pops another propane fixture that I have to work around and move things. So there's nothing new or modern about this house at all. There's no pavement. It's all gravel. There's a driveway, long driveway that goes back to it, as you can see, from the beginning of the property. In fact, there's only a right-of-way for part of the property that goes back. And so we don't even own that part. We just have the road that goes back to the parking lot. There are 2 sheds on the building as outbuildings, and they are nothing but sheds. They've got no heat or AC or anything in them because they're not living quarters. They're for stuff that we have to store in a house, and we don't have any storage room inside the house. It has a 600 square foot basement to it because it's only a half basement. They dug out part of the basement, put some steps down there, and put a wooden wall across the back and threw that dirt up onto the back. So it's all dirt underneath there. You can't use any part of the basement except for a washing machine and a dryer that we happen to put down there. And that was long, that's been a fairly recent event that's happened. So you can't live down there, nothing at all. There are 2 bedrooms upstairs that were put there in 1975. There's 1 bedroom downstairs that was put there in 1909. And there's a small room that is basically our office, and it was Dr. Kennard's office when he lived there. He got out of World War I, World War II, and retired from the Army to Blueberry Point to fish, because there were some fish there at the time. That's it. There's 2 bedrooms upstairs. There's 1 bedroom. There's a living room, dining room. It's a single room. There is a kitchen, and I can tell you the kitchen's big enough for 1 person. It's an old-fashioned kitchen. I had to have part of the end of the house torn off, literally, so I could get a new stove and a refrigerator in there, because there was no door any place in the house on the first floor that you could get into to take an appliance. You had to take them all apart, and you had to take the siding and everything off to get in there. It's back now, so if you wanted a new one, you'd have to do it again. All right? It's well and septic. It's not on the well system for the Blueberry Point water system that's there. It's completely separate from that because it's too old. It had its own well and its own septic long before that. So it never joined that system. So today we have our own septic tank, which we had to replace after nearly 100 years, because there was an old concrete and wooden septic tank there until last year, when we replaced it with a brand-new system. Simply because it just couldn't survive anymore. The assessment last year, and I think the year before that, we probably should have come up here and said something about at that point in time, but unfortunately, I spent much of that time in the hospital through basically cardiac issues and a couple of strokes. And I apologize for my condition here today.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You're doing great.
That's okay. At any rate, it went up quite a bit. But this year was, no matter what anybody's condition was, somebody had to come and say something about it because it went up another 25%. And we know what our neighbors have paid for their houses because we've looked it up. And we know how much money they put into their houses because we met them when they bought it long before they moved in. And when you buy a house on Blueberry Point and you put $500,000 into it, you've done a lot to help it out. I don't think we've come anywhere close to putting $500,000 worth of paint on Blueberry Point. Not even close. If we put $500 worth of paint on it in the last 10 years, I would be surprised. We've done what we can to try to keep the heaters running so it doesn't crack the boards and things like that. I want to tell you, too, it has no wallboard. It has no plaster. It's got what they call beaver board. It's that old brown cardboard that you can't drive a nail in to hold a picture. There are, around the ceiling, there's some boards, and you've got to go up into the ceiling to run some strings to hold a picture. Because if you try to put it on the wall, it'll fall off. I can tell you because I've tried it many times, and it didn't work. You can put it on a wall, and it'll dig a six-inch hole in the wall before the picture will fall off, but it will not stay up there. The only improvement part that you can point to since 1945 has been the fact that there's been some rock sill put around there. But had she not put some rock sill around that little area where the cove is, and you enter into the cove, would not be there today because it was going away at the time. Yeah. The currents were filling off that little spit that goes out there. The currents had taken that down to the point where when we came up to the Land Commission 4 years ago, there was sand there. Thank God for that, because we could prove that there had been something there. Otherwise, if there was a high tide, it was underwater. And the only way we could do anything was to put a lot of rock there and a lot of sand and a lot of plantings to make it natural and preserve that opening. And thank God, because the opening opened up a little bit because the current couldn't go across the spit. And that kept up the channel for all those other people from whom you get taxes also, because they've got nice boathouses or whatever, and they couldn't get to now if we hadn't done that. We can't put a boathouse there because the county won't let us do that from a zoning point of view. We used to have a boathouse. There's some real old pictures back in the 30s of it that we understand, but we haven't found them yet. But it's gone. So there's a deck there that was put in 1945. 75, rather, not 45, 75. And now I've got to replace it again this year. So it's kind of served us well since 1945. I looked at the property values that surround us. And you got to use your imagination a little bit. If you were to drive down the road, you would say, wow, how did all this kind of development happen? Because there's no HOA or anything there. For a long time, there was no zoning back in there. So some very, very rich people came down and bought big parcels of ground and built some big houses there. $1 million plus houses have been put there. But at the time that Dr. Carr went there was one house and a chicken farm in the middle. And the chicken farm converted to a pig farm, and now it's got a single-family house on it. But that happened a lot of years ago, 80, 90 years ago. But the development has some little, relatively small houses, a lot of moderate-sized houses like ours, and I'm thinking that one of the reasons maybe, I don't know, but maybe an assessor thinks that land's worth a lot of money. Here's the problem. About 15, maybe 20 feet of the land has been eroded away on the Irvington side, on the blue, where the blue channel is that goes up toward the bridge. And she's recently as in this month, had some core logs put there to try to, with the permission of the Wetlands Board, to try to keep that bank from falling apart. And unfortunately, you can't build within a certain, I think it's 100 feet of the shoreline. So nobody can put anything there except what's there. If you were to tear down the house and try to build a new one, you'd have to build it on the same footprint, because you can't do anything to avoid that. There is another building on the property that was a place to go and have some entertainment for her parents, but you can't live there. It's not heated or air conditioned. It's just a building. It's got a toilet in it. That's it. They closed in an old garage is what they did, but they had to put it on an old footprint that was there. They did pour a concrete floor on it, but that happened like 20 years ago. It can't be part of the valuation that's going on here unless somebody thinks it's part of a residence, but it's not. Right now, I've got my shop tools that I've collected over the last 50 years sitting in that building, and the internet goes to and stops in that building and comes into the house through a router. So there's nothing that going on out there. It's you'd have a hard time walking through it, in fact, because there's so much stuff in it, my tools. But the appraisal went up 24.13% this year. And when you compare that to the values of the houses along Blueberry Point Road, I think you're going to find that Blueberry Point Road's got a average assessed value of about $84,000 to $130,000. And if you look at some of the I'd call it bad housing along there, that's probably not an unreasonable position to take. If you look at some of the really new multimillionaire houses that people have combined acreage and they've expanded their footprint, I can understand that too. But $907,100 isn't even remotely possible, and 3 years ago, $688,000 wasn't remotely possible, but unfortunately, we weren't in a position to do anything about it and come here and say anything about it. We've never put the house up for sale. We've never had an unsolicited offer, so we don't know anything about it. We will tell you this. We did have an appraisal done in 2015, however, and it would have been the basis for an appeal of the $688,000 assessments, because she had to buy out her brother's interest in the LLC that I was telling you about before, the Blueberry Point LLC. That's how you all are taxing it right now. And that's right. I guess if it takes a year to get the new deeds in, that's probably the right name. But the right name today is the Catherine C. Perkins Trust, Catherine C. Perkins, trustee for the Catherine C. Perkins Trust of 62923. That's the correct legal name. I can see that that may well have happened, but we had this appraisal done, if I may.
Sure.
Provide it to you. done by a lady named Jan Abbott.
It must be a good appraisal
Must be
then.
good appraisal. He doesn't know you, so he
That's
doesn't
all
know
right.
you. That's all right.
Is that you, Mrs. Abbott?
No.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I hate to call you back on your work, but it was good work. I couldn't have done a better job of myself if I'd tried. And it was $525,000, and we thought that was high. And so did her brother. So she paid her brother $200,000 for his 50% interest in all of Blueberry Point. During that period of time, after that, we got involved in a lawsuit, one of our former neighbors, in 34 and 25A. That was 3/4 of an acre that her grandfather had sold to some friends from Richmond to build a bungalow. And they,
Gone down.
so that 3/4 was gone a long time ago. And I think they say it's 2.4 acres at this point in time, although there are places where I've seen it's 2.75 acres.
Yeah, we've got 2.4 acres.
2.4, I think, is probably a closer number.
Yeah.
But please keep in mind that we are that's a peninsula, as you can see.
Oh, sure.
And there's a road that goes down the middle of it. You can't possibly build on either side of the road because the right side of the road, as you come in, drops off on about a 40-foot cliff and goes down, and we've lost a lot of that cliff because of what I was telling you before,
Right.
wave action and like that comes around there. We've lost a lot of that cliff, but we got involved in a lawsuit because somebody was allowed to park in part of what's now 34 and 35A, and filed an adverse possession claim against us. And unfortunately, that didn't get finished until 2 years ago, and we lost that particular footage, which probably brings it down to about the 2.35, maybe 2.4 acres. And you cannot build on any place on the 2.4 acres except where the house is located now. There's no way you could do it. You just couldn't do it. The rest of it, where the building is located, that's all used for sewage. So the county's not going to give you a permit to build over the drainage field, where we had a brand-new thing put in. We had everything else scoped to make sure it was okay, and it was. It's been there for a lot of years, though. When I say a lot of years, I mean since like 1945 or so. And although the septic tank itself is brand new.
Right.
So we don't think that the assessment in excess of 688 is right. We just don't think it is. We don't really think we don't think it went up that much in the years that it was assessed at 688 because the appraisal, not shortly before that, was at 525. And if you, I haven't even done the math from 525 to 907, but it's a lot.
Right.
It's from 688 to 907. I did that math. It was 24.13%. And I don't know of a realtor in the county that would say they got a piece of property that's gone up 24% in the past year, particularly a 109-year-old house that cannot be built upon. We can't do anything to improve it at all. I sit in my office with a heater on my feet because the heating system is so old that it doesn't feed that room very well. And of course, I get colder than a lot of people get, so I guess maybe some people could sit there. At any rate, that's kind of our case. We think that 688 is more than enough for the county to assess there at this point in time, and 9071 is just an unknown number. I just don't know where it comes from. If you look at the comparatives for Blueberry Point, you see 468, 349, 335, 450, 325, 349, 460.
These are all still on the water.
Those are all still on the water. There's nothing, I mean, we're on the water, yes, but only on the easterly side, and only because that got terraced down over the years. We lost a lot of ground, but that got terraced down so that you could build some steps down to a deck. But from the north and the easterly side, you couldn't have a deck out there. In the first place, you'd be out in the channel. I don't think the county would permit that to happen. As it is, we're inside of a guarded cove because she's put the rock sill there. But if you were to add the cost of the rock sill to 688, to the 525, I'd come up with close to 600,000. You don't even get to 688 at that point in time. It just hasn't been that much done. And do we like plants? We do, and have we put some plants in? We have. But we haven't put in $300,000 worth of plants, I can tell you. I buy her a redwood tree for her birthday and Christmas, but they don't approach those kinds of costs. The rest of it is forests. It's all trees, some of which blow down when the wind blows real bad. But there's no way to build anything there at all. It's just it's just a forest. And it was the same forest that you saw when you were out there in 2015 and did that appraisal. It hasn't changed. We pushed some brush and fallen trees over to the edge to try to keep the soil from going over the edge into the cove. We've been somewhat successful at that, but not. Nothing that you can walk through, nothing you can plant on, nothing you can't camp there. You can't do anything. Okay? So I'm open for questions.
Anybody on the board have any questions?
I think the appraisal will be
Anything else?
super helpful, that there's pictures in there. Now, of course, property values have gone up a ton since 2015, so it'll just be sort of, and I think y'all came in to the Board of Equalization 5 years ago.
Yeah, we made an
I
adjustment.
think
on
it's
land,
just
yeah.
a kind of a quirk, the way that they show the assessments. It makes people think that the assessment jumped in one, oh, no, this does say 2019. But I think y'all came in before. So having the appraisal and having an expert on your property here will be helpful. And,
Okay.
as David typically gives the spiel, but at the end of the day, we go through and have more time to look at each property individually and
All right.
kind of compare it to other properties
Yeah.
and kind of dig into the details, and then, like we did last time, let you know in the mail.
Right. I know, for example, that the folks who bought that little 3/4 acres a year and a half, I think, ago, I don't know what their current assessment is, but I know the folks who bought that put more than $250,000 into it before they could inhabit it. Did it add some value? It probably did. If you've got to put a lot of money into it before you can live in it, it probably adds some value to it. That ain't been our case. That ain't been our case. We keep a dry roof, and we try to keep enough heat going to keep it from cracking up, but that's it. And nothing has happened to it since 1945. It's still exactly the same it was in 1945 when Dr. Kennard came down here to fish.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, look for something in the mailbox in a week. Good to see you. Good to
About,
see you.
about 2 to 3 weeks' time.
All
Because
right, thank you.
we'll do our deliberations this afternoon, decisions. Then we've got to get it over to the Commissioner of Revenue, and they
Okay.
type up all the new numbers and then mail it to you guys.
Come see you, and I thank
We'll
you.
go talk to them about the,
Yeah, right back down the hallway.
All right.
Talk to Beth.
can we go out through that door?
Yeah, you come right here and talk to Beth Cornwell, and more than likely, she can pull up the numbers, and then she can say, okay, yes, it's definitely been, and it's coming over, or what. Thank you all.
Thank you.
When did you have a grandbaby? Okay.
doing all.
Congratulations.
Olivia just texted me, lunch is gonna be here at noon.
Okay. All right.
Y'all want to try to knock out anything, or?
Yeah. We'll start from the beginning, I guess? Or you want to start this right here?
While we're all right here, I may have a childcare thing this afternoon.
Okay.
My daughter has gymnastics, and then somebody has to get Willis from school at 4:30. So if that's okay, I know that might cut it short a little bit.
Yeah, I mean.
But you can't go to the Y because
I
of
mean,
the.
they could go, but all we need is 3.
Okay, so yeah, I figure people need to keep
Yeah,
rolling.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Y'all want to just stay on Perkins right now then?
sure.
While
Fresh
while we're
reminds.
here?
Yep.
Okay.
It was crazy what he did the land for last time. I remember that. It was,
I do too.
as much as there's some quirky ones this time, he really put the property at the end of the road on a point. And
And
a
it
pretty,
certainly is,
it was definitely too high last time.
yeah, I mean, it definitely is drops right off.
At the same time, it's a pretty special piece of land. It's just,
Yeah.
I know it's hard to say. He did put the, depreciation up quite a bit.
I will say if, and I know, obviously, they don't go in the house, but that stairwell to go upstairs, if you're a lot wider than me, you're not getting up those stairs. I mean, it is treacherous to get to the second level on that house.
Wow.
It's steep and narrow.
You said there were
So-
2 bedrooms upstairs and 1 on the main floor?
Yeah,
So we need to change that on here? This is like got 2 bedrooms.
does it? It should be, yeah, it should
Could
be.
be a 2-bedroom septic.
Should be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
I guess that, I know
I
the
don't know, I
septic
never
doesn't
checked on the
always.
septic on
Did he
it.
say he had another small room that he used for an office?
Yeah, I think
In
that was,
addition to those 3?
Yeah.
and I did measure it, so yeah, we do need to change
Yeah,
the
so
square
let's do
footage.
that first. What'd you have, Jan? 2023?
2037,
2037?
yeah.
For the
And
building?
for building, yeah, how about
Yeah.
basement?
I didn't measure the basement.
He said it was 600.
Yeah, it's pretty darn small.
Okay. Well, I think we have to take his word on it then.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, so those are 2. And on the bedrooms,
You know, I mean, there's a quirk there. I don't know that we necessarily, like, sometimes the county pays attention to the septic, and sometimes the septic and,
should we just leave that one alone?
yeah, I mean, who knows if the septic is even around on a property like that.
Well, he said he just got a new one, right? Got the new septic system.
Yeah, last year.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. No.
I don't know, I mean, I didn't pull the septic on it, obviously, when I did it, but, yeah, so I just was thinking if we could, get Beth to write a note on the card about the stairwell and put a functional in there,
Okay.
That makes sense to me.
because, I mean, it was
That
bad.
would deter a lot of people.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I mean, I don't know how they ever got any furniture up there, honestly.
Well,
They had to rip off the side of the house.
Yeah.
Like they did
for
with
the
the stove.
appliances, yeah.
Yeah,
So should that be more functional depreciation then? Because of the limiting width of the doors and
yeah,
hallways?
I would say definitely.
So a factor of 116, what was the factor before?
110,
110? And what was depreciation before?
15.
So that depreciation went to 43.
Physical, yeah.
Jane, I mean, you've been, what would you say for a functional depreciation, taking into account stairwell and,
I would say anywhere from 15 to 20.
Okay.
I'd go with the high end on that.
Yeah.
20 I had 20 in my head for
Okay.
All right.
not being able to get appliances in and out if you need to, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
narrow stairs.
I think physical from 15 to 43 sounds right. In 5 years, do y'all want to make a change to the physical depreciation?
That seems good.
Hey, that seems decent to me. We could, I mean, but certainly going back to 110 on the factor, I mean, it is
Okay.
Yep.
it's a cool piece of land, but obviously there's erosion and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
it's hard to say what something like that would sell for. The right buyer may very well buy it where it is, but
I mean, they did pommel them with the land, but, you know, you knock that house down, there's no doubt in my mind you could sell that in a heartbeat for that kind of money for 500,000.
Yeah.
yeah, now that we've had those
Easy.
couple of sales at 800, of course,
Easy.
that was this year.
Easy.
But
You
Yeah.
could sell that. So, I don't know.
You want to leave the land then and just,
unless we wanted to click around and see if the point across is
All right.
similar.
I think that's what we did last time too, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It'd really be the one right across, the little section
here?
of the creek there, yeah. I mean, if she's giving like extra value, oh, there you go. They're kind of getting extra value because of the little thing, because that gives them more,
Frontage, maybe?
more frontage or something like that. I don't think that's a real, I could see how the algorithm would have,
Right.
would have maybe picked that up, but I don't think anybody's paying 100 and
Not for that, no.
something more thousand. I don't know if the,
So that's 431.1.
I wonder if that one went up.
This one's 375.
Yeah, those points are always more. What about something on like it's just James Cove? Zoom out.
Yeah. Went the wrong way. Want to go over here to this side?
Worth looking at.
And that's the lane
I
right here.
would think that would be more, but if not, that might be a reason. Even though I
Yeah,
think
let's
it could
see
sell for that from an equalization standpoint.
That's 525, that's on the lane.
But that's the lane, so
Right.
it should be.
Yeah. That was this parcel. Four 27.5.
Oh, you're on
Whew.
you're on
34.
overlook. Yeah.
404.
And that guy just,
That's a big
yeah,
parcel.
that guy just spent a fortune on that one.
500,000,
Wow, that's
all over the board.
Yeah.
odd. I could see going down to 500, just based on looking around, or even
I'm with you.
if we want to,
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
that sounds good.
That sounds good.
and then the factor to 110, and the functional to 20,
Yep.
Yep.
and then the
we'll-
little bit of a change.
We'll leave the bedrooms at 2,
I guess so. You know, like I said,
unless they can prove septic, otherwise we'll leave it at 2.
okay.
All right, everybody in agreement with those? Okay, all right, Crystal, 3425. We're changing the land value from 550 to 500,000. The factor from 116 to,
But it's probably obvious, but to say the home site from 550 to 500, I guess
Yeah.
it's just that.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a little bit of residual, I guess, that's fine to keep
okay.
there.
Factor from 116 to 110. Functional depreciation of 20%. Yes, it's now nothing. We're going to add 20% depreciation for functional. Building square footage needs to be corrected. from 2054.4 to 2037. And the basement square footage needs to be corrected from 864 to 600. All right.
How crucial is the note that she wanted added? The notation on the steps, does that matter?
Oh, yeah.
Probably should add that as a notation.
Can Beth put that in there?
What's that?
Like, I don't know if just the reasoning behind the functional is because the narrow doorways and narrow stairwell,
Okay. I'll ask her.
just so that the assessor next
Yeah.
time doesn't arbitrarily take it off,
Yeah.
since they've never been in it.
All right.
That's all of that one.
Let's go to Western Branch.
They paid $785 in 2022.
Do y'all know this house?
This was
I can't picture
Mr.
what it looks like. I'm sure if I saw a picture of it.
Hazel?
Sound 1919 Western
I
Branch.
can't get it straight.
somewhere.
I did not understand that grid.
I didn't either.
Sort of started zoning out.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, I remember when this one was on the market.
Who had that one listed, you know?
I forget, I just pulled it up on the internet, so it's on Zillow.
Don't worry about it.
It took a little bit of time to sell, as I remember. I was
You mean
kinda
pull it up on
surprised.
Navica?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it 1919 Western Branch?
Yep. Oh, yeah. I've used this one 100 times. Okay.
All right, y'all, so here's the,
Oh, Sandra had it, right? That's the-
here's the house we're looking at right now.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When I showed it, all the furniture was out of it, and the pictures looked so much nicer than it did.
Pretty.
It looked better furnished or unfurnished?
The pictures looked a lot unfurnished. It seems pretty,
Great.
I don't know. Did not show as well in person.
Huh. All right. So, this is the one we didn't have the field sheet on.
Factor and physical didn't change at all, did it? It's gonna stay the same.
Was this it?
I don't think this is the
We
field
got all
sheet.
copies of new cards, right?
Yeah,
Oh, this is on the new sheet?
yeah.
Okay, we need to get an old one for this one, I guess. Crystal, can we get the old, tax card?
All right, or come out. Was that we have?
Yes, please.
2019?
Yes. Do you think it's a 130 factor, Neil? Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Looks pretty
I mean,
nice.
it's a pretty setting. It's not a huge water view from the house,
Okay.
but
Wasn't it kind of marshy?
but the land, there's a little marsh area there.
It's got a walkout basement.
It's pretty. But it was pretty wooded.
Is this it right here,
Okay.
Neil?
I believe so.
Okay.
That looks right.
The land really didn't jump up that much, so.
No, just the improvements.
I mean, so what is the, I mean, that's kind of an interesting, 785 versus 841. I mean, that seems like a pretty reasonable miss. I mean, they're not all going to be perfect. I don't know how much.
Oh, you mean from what he paid?
Yeah. I mean, that seems to be sort of, I mean, that's what, I guess that's 10%. Yeah, that's a little much. In terms of how much it was off by, but did property go up in value a bit in 2023? Certainly make the case that it did.
Yeah.
Things continually seem to be selling for more. It was darn close. It closed in October of 14. Sorry, October of 22.
So it's a 24.
Old factor was 135, so the factor actually went down. That's unusual.
Huh.
Physical depreciation went up a few
From 10 to 13.
percentage points.
I remember he did say that the square footage of the basement was incorrect. Instead of
Yeah.
1560, it should be 630.
Right,
So that's one clerical change we can make, but
yeah.
What's on the MLS? Does it show? Of course, if she just took it from the county, that doesn't necessarily mean that the.
that's a good point. 3121,
Yeah.
which is right from what we had here. And she took 15, so she took the tax card from the basement too.
Yep.
Yeah, close enough. Does it show on the, they had some floor plans on there, David? Possibly show the. I think the floor plans were just
On the
like.
pictures.
In the pictures.
Yep.
I remember the basement being pretty.
Would that go
darn
back to
big,
that?
but I can't
Can you
remember
go
if
back
there
to
was
that
a,
other tax card? That's got 750. Did I
Yeah.
see that correctly? 750 on the finished basement space instead of 150 on the tax card? I mean, does that even matter?
Right here.
Yeah.
Which one
Let's
would
see.
be
It
more
said
accurate?
50, basement 1560.
Most of it was unfinished. I remember there was like a room. So then we're going down to the,
I know, that's the second
that's
floor.
that's the second floor.
There's the basement. Is it? Wait a minute.
So let's see what he's got. First floor, third floor, garage.
He's not showing it.
He's not showing the.
That looks right, but like the game room, I think if you look at the picture, it was unfinished. It just had a,
Oh, that's the walkout for the basement, isn't it?
yeah, but it's not finished. I think it just had like a ping pong table in there. That's probably why they called it a game room. Maybe that recreation room is the one room that's
Was finished.
finished, but then it's got the bath. I do not remember what the deal was with,
Well, if you take the bathroom, the game room, and the rec room, that's right at 700 square foot roughly.
look at the picture. The game room just has a ping pong table in it. I think that's why they're saying,
Right there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no heat in there.
Yeah.
So that's not really a finished.
No, I think,
ceiling.
I don't know, I've run it, the guys that do they ship the floor plans off to somebody and they just kind of put pretty random names
Yeah.
on things. That's a storage area, that's not finished.
Depends on when was it taken, after they moved?
So the 150 square foot of finish, that's just the bathroom, I guess.
I guess so.
There may be, that,
Right here?
there's the bathroom, that room.
Oh, this
Oh.
room. There's
Yeah.
vents
That
right
was
there.
the
So
one that
that's-
was on the
that's it.
front.
So that's probably right then. It's probably about 630 square foot of unfinished basement.
Okay.
Yeah, it does look like it's smaller than the main floor of the house. So, yeah, sounds right.
You remember the pier, Neil, at all? They got 15% depreciation. And
Yeah.
boat lift 20%.
I think there must be a picture in there. Yeah, that's to say, remember it being maybe a little, maybe needs power washing or potentially even redecking, but it's got a boat lift and a light and.
Bring the factor down, because it was at 135, now it's 130. I don't know.
Guess if we bought it for 785, how much consideration are we giving that? Are we trying to get to 785 or
Right.
get to 785 plus plus a little bit for 2023 being, can't think of any. It was. What do they have for the square footage there? I don't understand why he thought it was. So when he was doing his numbers, I think even on the old tax card, they didn't have 3,900 as the
Yeah, I don't know where he got
square footage. He was just
Yeah.
including
the basement area.
the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
I don't know that we can do much more than just correct the basement. I mean, I think market-wise, probably, based on looking at this, is it worth, mid to low rates? Based on what it looks like, yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I just only, I think, to me, it seems pretty darn close. It would just be, do we want to, is that the fact that it sold for 785 in 2022?
At the very end of 2022 as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like he's got a really good argument for, like,
Yeah.
that, what changed in a few months.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
how do you relieve him just a little bit, change the factor, like you were saying?
That's
We
the
could-
only, I mean, that's the only thing I can see.
We
It's a
could, we could,
24-year-old
we could do
house.
Either that
factor,
or
or we
kick
could do
physical
physical depreciation
depreciation
of
to-
that too.
Yeah.
Would,
So it went from 10 to 13.
I would just make physical depreciation 15.
Factor 120 or one,
I'd want to run the numbers if we take the factor down too much. I mean, I don't think we have to get right to 785. That's also the weird part. I mean, the end of 2023 was also different than the beginning. But,
Right. Right.
and of course, he wrote the contract, and if he bought it in October, the contract would have been potentially in August of 2022. So I think it makes sense to get a little bit closer, but don't necessarily have to hit.
do we leave the factor alone, just take physical to 13, 15?
Yeah.
Everybody good with
Sounds
that?
good. And then whenever we change the basement, that's gonna
That's gonna
That's
change
gonna
it too.
take-
tweak it
yeah.
a little.
That'll
Okay.
change a little, so it's,
All good with that, Neil?
yep.
Okay. 20I-17, Crystal. The basement square footage needs to be corrected from 1560.5 to 630. And we are going to change the physical depreciation from 13% to 15%. You want to try to knock out one more real quick?
I guess we'll see when Crystal comes back. Sorry, next one.
Simmons, is that a quick one?
That house was rough. I mean, I was trying to remember, this is 2024.
There's one that just sold on George's Cove Road, right? That was a pretty old farmhouse. I forget who had that listed. It was for sale for a bit. This one might be a bit nicer, but that jumped out to me as potentially something to look at. They certainly bumped up physical depreciation on homes of that age beyond 500. The old factor was 100. Land went up on that one. That's one we're potentially
Yeah, that home site.
looking at a couple of pieces of land and seeing if there's any justification to.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, that piece of land was okay, but not phenomenal. So physical stayed the same.
I think one of these just sold. 235.7,
Oh, yeah, one of them did sell over there. I don't remember.
didn't it?
Yeah, but I don't remember which one. Okay.
Well, physical depreciation, I think we can bump that,
Okay,
because nothing changed from last time. And they haven't done anything to it.
right.
It's a 140-year-old house.
And it was rough. And I was trying to remember when I was in there, I'd say past 3 years maybe.
And factor went up to 106 from 100, there's no reason for that.
No.
Yeah, certainly.
So we back factor down to 100,
Uh-huh.
physical, what do you say, Jan, 75?
Yeah.
80?
Yeah, definitely 75 at least.
We'll go to 80.
Okay.
And I don't, I have a hard time with 250 for the lot, because I know
Correct.
these right across here,
Yeah, the lot wasn't great.
no, and they're, to me, they're 200,
Yeah.
you know, $200,000 lot. Because it's not very wide right here.
Uh-uh.
I mean, the ones on this side, we sold for like 225, and they had good deep water.
Poplar Neck Road, 631 Poplar Neck Road.
Oh, yeah, that house was a piece of junk.
Yes, I think this house is in better, but it sold for 437. You know, did you
Yeah.
see that one, David? Did you
Yeah.
ever show that one?
Yeah.
And I think
That
that
was a
one,
scary
I think that
house.
one was barely,
It was a scary
It was
house.
land value only, yeah,
was barely livable,
yeah.
but that was an old, that was an
Right.
1895. So I mean, I think that gives you some leeway to
Right.
come down
Somebody has a lot of work to do in that house.
pretty
man.
far. Yeah,
It just gave me the willies.
I just wanted to make sure it didn't go down below that. I couldn't remember what it sold for, if it sold for 5, but it sold for 437. So I think, yeah, going to 80% on depreciation and 100 on factor. And then the question is on land.
I think we
Is
take
it-
the land down too.
Is it
Yeah.
unreasonable to just go back to the 180,000 on the home site that it was before? Or do you think it should be a little more than that at this point? From the 19 card?
Yeah, I would say. That's
mean,
what
if
I would
nothing's-
That's probably reasonable, yeah, yeah,
If nothing's changed that much?
yep.
do. Yep.
Neil, you good with that?
Yep, 180, 100.
Ms. Davis?
80.
And then we'll leave the residual, the
Yeah.
50, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're changing the, what is that? Oh, HSC 500. All right, Crystal, you ready for this one? 2985E. The land, we're changing home site from C542, which is currently $250,000, to HS C500, which is $180,000. Uh-huh. Then we're changing factor from 106 to 100. And upping the physical depreciation from 50% to 80%. That's it. All right, gang, let's go eat.
Okay.